Hi, I'm Jennifer Henry. I am back today with another episode on the Game Changer Real Estate Podcast. In case you didn't know, if you haven't heard any of my episodes before, recording my podcast, I call it mine. It's like one of my favorite things to do because not only do I get to talk, which I love to do, give me a mic, but I get to talk to really cool people. And if you rewind back, go back and check out this entire podcast, you'll see that I've been interviewing some really cool people. Some of these people have been in real estate for a long time. Some of these people just got into real estate, but they've all got some really good stuff to share. And today, my guest is no different. I get to bring somebody on board that I've really kind of just been getting to know the last few months as we have kind of become curious about what each other is doing. And we realize we've got a lot of alignments in our passion for real estate. So I won't hold you back anymore. Let me introduce to you all the amazing and wonderful Maurice Murphy. Hey, Maurice.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Really appreciate this opportunity to talk to the people.
I got to do this for you, and now I get to repay the favor. It's so exciting.
Thank you.
Now, Maurice, we do video and audio on this.
Yep.
For those of you that aren't looking at the video, you get to notice that there is a very luxurious, voluptuous beard on this man. And Maurice, tell me a little bit about the beard and how it plays a part in your brand.
Okay. Thank you again for having me on the show.
And tell us about you while you're at it.
So this will kind of go hand in hand with telling you how the beard got started. So for those who don't know, I was in the military for a very, very long time. I served our country in the Navy for over 24 years. Thank you. And so after being in for a very long time, it was time for me to retire. I decided to make a career change, wanted to do something different. And in 2019, I decided to retire. And it's like an age-old thing that once military guys get out, the ritual is to grow facial hair. Because after years of shaving, whether you wanted to or not, you had to shave. So it started with a year. It was just supposed to be a year process, year growth. And so during that time frame, I really didn't know where I wanted to go with my my life. You know, you got to remember when I started the military, I was 18 years old. So I grew up as a man in the military. So I really had nothing else to do. And so once I got out, I was going through a transitional phase and started growing my beard and decided to hop into the real estate business. And so in doing so, I started looking around to figure out, okay, it's a lot of real estate agents here in Jacksonville. Like, Jesus, it's a bunch of people. How can I make myself different? And so coincided with the beard, when I started growing the beard, and thank the Lord, it grew in very well without many patches. And like you said, if you see the video, you can see I have a pretty nice sized beard. And so what happened was I was at a trade show with what is it called? The Builders Association. I can't remember that name. Northeast Florida Builders Association. And so this lady walks up to me, and it was well smaller than this at that time. And she's like, "Hey, I know you from somewhere." I'm like, What do you mean you know me from somewhere?" So because at this point I'm out of the military, so I'm like, "You know me from the base? Do you know me from? Are you a spouse of someone I served with?" She's like, "No, I've seen you somewhere before." And I'm like, "Okay, well, all right, cool, whatever." And so it got me to thinking like, okay, if she recognized my face but didn't know my name, how can I make this stand out even more? So what I decided to do was I said, I started thinking of names. I said the bearded agent, which really didn't sound that cool. The bearded real estate agent it just didn't jive. And then I said, okay, what about the bearded realtor? I said, "Ooh, that sounds really good." It rolls off the tongue really nicely. The beard matches the whole brand. And so what I did, I went to Google and said, okay, the bearded realtor, searched, and it's a lot of people with the bearded realtor logo. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna change it and make it THA bearded realtor. And so that's kind of what I did. It kind of stuck, and I just kept rocking with the bearded realtor, and Had to make some shifts because of copyrights from NAR, but I still it's the bearded one now. But when I first started, it was the bearded realtor. So yeah, that's
I
how it
love
got
that.
started.
It's how I first heard about you. So
Oh,
it's
really?
stuck. Yeah, it's stuck, and it's you stuck in my mind
Mhm.
as a bearded realtor. And you know, if you talk to people today here in Jacksonville and you say Maurice, they're like, oh, the bearded one, the bearded guy. And but there's a lot of dudes with beards, but you're known as the guy with the beard because you just owned that, which I think is something we can probably spend a lot of time talking about. But
Yes.
before we do, I want to hear about your transition into real estate, what that was like for you, how you're doing. Kind of give us the lowdown on all of that.
So, as I said before, when I got out of the military, it's a steep transition from coming from a very structured, organized, everything's written down, told you what to do, and then to hop into a business where there's no supervisor, there's nobody's telling you what to do. It's just like you have to go out and learn from others how to run this business because, as we both know, real estate school does not teach you how to be a real estate agent.
Nope.
It teaches you more about the laws and things that keeps you out of jail is what they say.
Yep.
So once you get to a brokerage, you're like, okay, so now I got to learn more than that. So the transition was kind of steep for me. So because I noticed things are done a little bit different on this side once I got out, as we call it, and it was okay. I would say it's okay because I did close 6 deals my first year, which people was like, "Oh my God, you closed 6 deals." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
like,
Maurice, you know the
yeah,
odds of making it to six
yes,
deals are pretty slim.
yes, they're very slim." But
Yeah.
at the time, I didn't know that. As I'm coming into business, I'm green. I don't know anything. I'm thinking 6 deals, ain't nothing.
Yeah.
It's a piece of cake. But then as I grow into the business, I'm realizing you haven't closed any deals in a whole year. Like, what are you? What are you? What
And
are
no
you?
wonder they quit.
Yeah, yeah. I would quit too after a
Me too.
year
Me too.
of not closing a deal. So, granted, I aligned myself with some great people. One that you have coached Josh Rogers, and I just said, "Hey, man, tell me what I got to do to make this thing happen." And he said, "Okay, let's sit down and go over some things." And I just took to it like glue. I just said, "Okay, do this, got it, do this." And I would say I was kind of hesitant on the things he was telling me. I'm like, "Is that it? Like that's all you're doing?" He's like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it." It was very simple things that one would not think that would make them more successful, but it does. And it's like it's all about the consistency of doing it. And it's like, bro, I can't. This is boring. Like he's like, "Welcome to Successful Realtor." I'm like, wow. And I just kept doing it, and I've grown a brand, the Bearded Realtor, the Bearded One, whatever you want to call me. But like you said, people know me by the guy with the beard in Jacksonville, and I've just continued to stay consistent, and try to grow my business as best I can, and get to the next level and keep growing.
Well, you are doing that. And so it's been a few years now. You made it through COVID.
Yes, I did make it through COVID.
Yeah.
Did yes,
I
yeah.
love that you connected with Josh Rogers. I think we should take a moment to just say Josh Rogers is amazing. For those of
Yes.
you that are listening or hearing us right now, Josh is a legend out there in the YouTube world, and he's also really good about bringing people under his wing, knowing what people need when they need it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a big supporter of ours here at Game Changer Realty, so I always appreciate him. And I'm glad he connected us, and I'm really thankful he took you under his wing. So when you were mentoring with him, and you said it was simple, I want to pause on that for a minute because it isn't complex what you need
No,
to do. It isn't
no.
easy, but it is definitely not complex. So for you, what were those few things that you felt like you had to do consistently in order to get this business going?
So I had in my mind prior to talking to Josh, I said, if I'm gonna be known as the bearded realtor, I gotta show off this beard. Like I gotta be in every picture, video, whatever you put me in, I gotta be in here. And he said, "Hey, start making that more intentional." So what we decided to come up with a plan was, okay, we'll start doing video, we'll start posting on social media. And after consistently doing that, that's how kind of the business grew from that. I mean, it wasn't something like I said, it was very simple because he said, okay, just take a post and just post it. It doesn't have to always be about real estate. It can be about your daily life. It could be about my wife's white coat ceremony. It could be about my daughter getting her new job. It could be about just me going on vacation, or it could be just about anything. But it's all about being intentional and keeping that audience that you have to where when you do post about real estate, they'd be like, oh, they could put two and two together and say, he's in real estate too. And that has helped me to grow my business, because you got to figure 90 to 95% of my business is all referrals. And to being a newer agent, people say that's kind of rare, because that doesn't happen until like 5 to 10 years down the road after you establish yourself a little bit more. So I think that's the key. It was about video, being active on social media, and not just posting, engaging with people, talking and having conversations, because we wanted to play with the analytics of Facebook. That was our thing. He has this thing called the hit list, and that's kind of where he started me at, and then that just took off from there. So
yeah, his hit list, like a legend for us. In fact, one of his team members is going to come teach that here, Tessa, to our agents. So I don't want to give it away here because it's Josh's, but I know it works.
Yes.
And, for anyone that wants to go look you up and just follow you to see what you're doing out there, and kind of, first of all, see the magnificent beard, but also see how you're doing that. What kind of handle do you have out there that they could find you?
So I'm now known as the Bearded One, spelled 0NE. So that's the new handle, THA Bearded 0NE, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I'm also on YouTube as well. So
perfect. So anyone listening here, go check it out. Go here, watch what he's doing. Now, from someone like me who's observing you, getting to know you better, getting in your circles, and getting to meet some of the same people and talking and collaborating, I see one thing that you do really, really well, which is your networking. So I want to be real clear to everyone, our audience, and that is that you cannot just sit behind your computer and hide there. No. You have to go out and live your life, but you'd have to be very visible about the life you're living. That's the key differentiator, right?
Absolutely.
I see you doing that. So when you go meet with someone, when you go to a mastermind, when you're collaborating, you're always posting with them, celebrating them, and congratulating them or talking them up, or whatever it is that you do. Yeah. And doing so, you get to create content that shows the world that you are a connector and a collaborator, and that you have a great beard. Right?
Yes, it does. Jen, you got to stop saying that. Jeff's listening to this. He's going to be jealous now.
Oh, he is going to be jealous. Yeah, my husband does have a fabulous beard too. He just doesn't have it as his brand. So I think when you call it your brand, you get the extra compliments. I'm just saying. But,
thank you.
Yeah, and it is just about being uniquely you.
Yes.
Being high value and high visible.
Yes.
I've seen you do that. I watch you do that. You're masterful at it. And I know that's not something that happened overnight, because you used the key word, consistency.
Absolutely.
So how long would you say you've been consistently doing this?
I would say consistently, on a consistent basis, probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Okay.
Just because my first year, I was still learning, but I would say 2 years, 3 years. Yeah.
Well, we are nearing the end at the time of this recording of 2023. We're halfway through 2023. We're on the other side of the second half. True. And so time is flying, right?
Yes, it is. It is definitely flying. Yes.
So you're retired military?
Retired military. Yes.
Retired military. So on behalf of myself and everyone here, we thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You devoted your life to that, and it brings me great joy to see you having transitioned into another career where you get some more flexibility and you get to do what you want to do after having given so much of your life. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone listening here, someone that's in the military transitioning out. I have discovered that military people make amazing real estate agents. They've got discipline. They've got a sense of commitment and loyalty, and they don't give up very easily. They've been through a lot. Yep. And most of them have their money together and know how to transition financially into a real estate career. So I hope that there's people listening here today that you can inspire about that transition.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy transition. Like as I said before, you definitely have to have a plan. After all that time, whether you did 24 years or you just did 4 years. It's very imperative to have a plan once you do decide to get out. And I learned this great lesson from Josh. Money management is probably the most important of those things. Like, you got to have your money managed properly to where once you do decide to come into this career field, because I mean, it took me 4 months to close my first deal. So it's not an
That's
overnight
quick.
success. And that's what people say. And I'm like, that's a long time. Like, without getting a check. So
It is a long time. I mean, when you're used to getting a paycheck every 2 weeks, it's a long time.
yes.
But in this business, 4 months is fast. I mean, so I mean, for those listening again, it happens sooner for others, takes a lot longer for many.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that says a lot about you and your tenacity and your commitment level. So here you are now.
Mm-hmm.
It's middle of 2023.
Yes.
By the way, we didn't mention this. You are an EXP agent.
I am an EXP agent. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that means that you get all of the resources of that amazing company.
I do. And
definitely you get to give back to a lot of agents too, because I know you're always pouring out yourself to other people as well. Tell me more about how you're doing that and what that does for you.
I've learned how to bring more value as I've continued to grow in this business and through events that I put on myself, to where I go out and get a sponsor and say, okay, let's put this thing together. Bring in lenders, bring in other teachers that can come in and teach new agents, seasoned agents, doesn't matter, just giving that value back to them to understand that, hey, if I can do it, you could do it too. So I think that's very important, because we get to a level to where, okay, we need to start picking up those behind us and helping those others out. And I've seen and heard that some agents don't do that. They're like, it's all about them, me, myself, and I. And so I wanted to be different than that. I wanted to help out others, because I mean, I helped out a lot of people in the military. So to continue to do that in the real estate space was just a no brainer for me. So so I do a lot of events. We got one coming up this August 24th with First Coast Mortgage Funding. We also have a few other realtor mixers that we have coming up as well, and just bringing more value to agents and creating that collaboration and network to where we can work together.
It can be really lonely when you do this all by yourself. There's no reason to do it by yourself. There's plenty of business for all of us. So it delights me to see you doing that. I know that you've been a really good encourager to a lot of my agents that have gotten to know you. So that I'm very grateful for that as well. Right. So as a now not new agent, because you're not new anymore, you've been baptized by fire, you've done a few deals, you've done a lot of deals, you're now giving back.
Yes. You
are reaping the rewards of your consistency. Mm-hmm. What is your best advice at someone getting into this business today?
Patience. Number one, you got to have some patience. Second thing is, you definitely got to stay consistent. When the rubber meets the road, slow and steady wins the race every time. So if you think you're going to come in this business and make a whole lot of money really quick, that's not the case. So you really need to stay consistent. And just, I would say the last thing is just take action. I hear a lot of agents, a lot of times they have these great plans, they have these ideas, but they never execute the plan. They never take action. They never took that first step to do what they want to do or what they want to make happen. So it's like, just take that first step. If you don't know, ask somebody. People will help you. Just taking action. So that's what I feel would be patience, consistency, and taking action. Because we all know if you take action, it's going to eventually happen.
Something will.
Exactly. Yes.
Well, either it'll work or you'll find out it doesn't. You can take a different direction.
Absolutely.
Somehow, some way, you got to put one foot forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with all those points beautifully. And, the patience part, how long do you think a person needs to be patient, Maurice?
6 months.
6 months. Tell me more. What does that mean to you?
So 6 months, I would say, and you said 4 months was quick, but I think 6 months really gives you enough time to implement a plan, execute a plan, and to see if you need to make some course corrections. Maybe you need to change something, do something a little bit different, or maybe my philosophy, what I learned from Josh, is R&D. If you find somebody's doing something that's successful, do the exact same thing they're doing and just duplicate and do it your way. That's what I've learned from him.
Well, but wait a minute, Maurice. We don't want to copy other people's ideas. How do you deal with that?
Why not?
Why not?
It doesn't make sense. If you have someone in front of you making the success or have success that you want, why not just take off what they're doing? It does not make sense to recreate the wheel, because real estate's been going on for hundreds of years. So if something works, just take it and just run with it on your own. Like it just, I don't know. Like I get so frustrated when I see agents who don't want to post on social media, or who are afraid of being in front of the camera, or who I don't put my business out there and on Facebook. Like that's no, you're looking at it from the wrong lens. You need to look at it from creating more exposure. You're putting yourself out there, because we know you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to be successful. If you'll continue to sit behind the desk and not do anything and just think somebody's going to just knock on your door and say, "Hey, I'm looking to sell my house," you're sadly mistaken. It's not going to happen. So I easily take, Josh is taking stuff from me now that I'm like, "You're going to take my idea?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to take it. It's a great idea." So
I love it.
You've taken stuff from me. I'm like, "Yeah, I have taken stuff from you." So yeah, so rip off and duplicate. Just take something from someone else is doing and just make it your own. It doesn't have to be exactly the same.
To that point, it won't be exactly the same.
No,
because I can honestly say that whatever Josh is doing, he could teach it to you to the letter, like to the exact degree that he has done it. Yes. And yet he cannot execute it the way Maurice would execute it.
No.
And Maurice cannot execute the way Josh would. So let's all stop being so closed-minded and closed-minded and say, let's collaborate. And if somebody's doing something, let's show them how we're doing it so that they can do it too their way. Just to put it, to use your word, they're doing it their way, which means it's going to fall on different ears. It's going to be seen by different eyes. It's going to be heard differently. It's going to be felt differently because it comes from a different being.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely.
And Josh Rogers is really awesome, but Josh Rogers didn't invent YouTube either.
No, he didn't.
I hope Josh gets to hear this podcast.
He didn't. He did not. And I just don't understand why you wouldn't just take something from someone else and just make it your own and consistently do it. Like the hit list.
Give him the credit.
Yeah.
Remind yourself that we didn't get here alone.
Absolutely.
Nobody. I have been interviewing people from my past a lot that have gotten, moved me forward in my career. And it's a gentle reminder that we have not arrived. Yes, we were born with a certain amount of intellect, a certain amount of personality, a certain beard, whatever it is. But at the end of the day, we did not arrive here alone. Yep. And we've had people along the way, whether we recognize it or not. So that's really good. And some people that we've been able to be inspired by, that we can R&D, rip off and duplicate their ideas or their, methodologies or strategies. So I think that that's a really, really awesome point. I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah.
You just kind of gave everybody permission to do that.
Yeah, just you copy what I can do. Just copy what I do and just do it yourself.
Do it your way. It's not going to sound like Maurice. So see, that's an abundance mindset, my friends. What you're hearing right now is called abundance. It's living in a space where there's enough business for all of us.
Absolutely.
There's enough creativity for all of us. There are enough ideas for all of us, and we're all going to execute it our own beautiful way anyway.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
So Maurice has said it best. He said, for a new agent coming into this business, 6 months of patience. How much consistency? Just a little bit for 6 months or what?
You got that same 6 months. You got to be consistent.
Okay. So you're saying, just for the record, you're saying that if you're 9 months or 90 days in and it's air quotes not working, can you call it yet? Can you call it not working at 90 days yet?
No.
Is that what you're saying? Because that's what I'm hearing, and I agree with you.
No. Give it 3 more months. Keep going.
Keep going. Okay.
Keep going.
So patience for 6 months.
Yep.
Which is, again, I think definitely safe, because when I was on your podcast, we talked about that 90-day mark. But that's 90 days of being so utterly consistent, And then the second thing is consistency for an extended period of time. And by the way, once you get this ball rolling in real estate, you have to stay consistent to keep it rolling. So the consistency to get it off the ground, but then you got to keep it moving.
Yes.
And then the last thing is taking action, not sitting on the sidelines, not thinking about it, not preparing to prepare, but doing.
Yes, absolutely.
every day.
And can I make one point that I want to mention really quick?
Please.
When we talk about consistency, when you get that first person that wants to do a deal or buy a house or sell a house, don't stop there, because what's going to happen is you're going to lose that momentum. You're going to go back to the same cycle over again of where you're starting to be consistent again, because now you're taking all your time away to work on this one buyer or one seller, and you're going to lose that momentum that you had for being consistent every day. That still needs to be in your wheelhouse every day, even after you get that first deal. Keep going.
That's so good. And Maurice knows this best, having been a new agent, not that terribly long ago. And your first deal will consume a lot of your mental energy. It will take a lot of focus to get through your first deal. And it's very easy to stop whatever you did to get that buyer or seller. It'd be really easy to stop that. It would make sense,
Yes.
but you have not arrived.
No.
So you have to keep going. That's a very good point. Thanks for that reminder.
Mm-hmm.
So Maurice, you're in it a few years now. What's the future look like for you? What are you working on now?
So I'm trying to grow my I'm sure people know EXP has the revenue share, same as Keller Williams has a profit share. I'm trying to grow my rev share team. Trying to be aligned with more influencers and just trying to grow my brand even more. The beard has gotten me where it is now, but I think I'm ready to take it to the next level and continue to expand outside of Jacksonville and grow even more. So
look at what's possible. Look what's possible in just a few short years.
True.
Complete career shift.
Yes.
And I mean, you're a family man. That was a big move on your part.
That is, and let's be clear. My wife decided to get out of the military as well, so we went down to one income. So yeah, we had to make some shifts. Yes, some sacrifices.
Probably the very thing that got you where you are.
Yep, it definitely is. It definitely changes your mind.
And so, tell us about your podcast.
So we, me and my guy Chris Allen do a podcast called Real Talk in Real Estate, and we're able to have Jennifer on there, who I feel had a great time on there. If you haven't seen the reels we made, you can go back and see. She was pointing some fingers and switching some necks. So
I had a lot of energy that day, and I was fired up that day. But
yeah, and so the purpose of the podcast is just like we talked about before, bringing more value to people, and allowing top producers, top agents to really tell their story and their journey. Because if you look at the podcast or watch the podcast, you'll see that everybody went through this season of struggle when they came in, and it was either do or die. They either had to make real estate work, or they had to go back to doing what they had to do. And so people are very candid on the show. They're really transparent and tell their story. And I mean, we had agents get fired. We have agents that husbands didn't have a job for like 2 years during the crash. We've had a lot of people tell their struggle, but they persevered and made it past that point to where they are now. So it's like you can also do it too. So definitely don't think you're alone in this business. You see those top producing agents, they have went through the same struggles you have. Absolutely. But the difference is persevere, keep going. It's going to happen.
Yeah, such good wisdom from someone who has truly been an example of what is possible.
Yes.
And has overcome. And, anybody that gets a chance to meet you knows that you're a highly inspired and inspirational person who lives your life out loud and just shows the world what's possible by just doing what you do best, even if you don't always know what you're doing. Because remember, you just came into this a few years ago. So yes. I applaud you for that. And I really appreciate you sharing that. What's the name of your podcast? If you didn't say it before, I might not have caught it. What's the name of yours?
The Real Talk in Real Estate. The Real Talk in Real Estate. With Chris Allen, yes. Yep.
All right.
Every Tuesday at 6 p.m.
Okay, so you have live. It's on YouTube and it's on all the podcast platforms as well?
Yep. It is on all the podcast platform, yes.
Perfect. Okay, very good. Well, to our listeners that want to expand their horizons and listen to some different voices in real estate, please go check that out.
Absolutely.
Do me a solid. Let him know that he's touched your life and he's inspired you in some way. Make sure you follow him and check him out. I think there's a whole lot more that Maurice has to share, but because of time today, we're going to just have to come back and do it another time.
I would definitely love to do that. Thank you so much.
I hope you will. You're so welcome. And thank you for coming on our show today.
Absolutely.
So to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, our audience in general, we appreciate you. We thank you for coming back every Tuesday to hear what we got going on up here at the Game Changer Real Estate Podcast. You never know what you're going to get with us, and we like to keep it that way. And we will catch you next time.